The Wild Wild West. And no, I'm not referring to the late 90s disaster of a Will Smith movie. Instead, it is the very reality of many small towns west of the Mississippi during an innovative yet tumultuous time in America. Outlaws on the streets, harlots in the sheets, and often opportunities at your feet. It certainly was a wild time to be alive. Today's tale takes us to the streets of Tombstone, Arizona, where a former gunslinger attempts to settle for a new chapter in life and perhaps a better opportunity. Familiar faces join the gathering with the likes of Virgil and Morgan Earp, along with the unpredictable gambler and outlaw Doc Holliday, as a vicious and merciless gang of outlaws enter town. It's up to Wyatt and the gang to muscle up against Curly Bill and his gang of killers in an epic showdown. Tonight will be your Huckleberry as we do a discussion of sorts on the cult classic from 1993, Tombstone. This is a Comic Talkers production, and you are listening to a There's No Normal Life, There's Just Life. Now get on with it. Edition of Just for Flicks. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Patty B. With me, as always, is my co-host, Mr. B Dog, Mr. Brandon. What's going on, man? How you doing tonight?
Why, Patty B, you look like somebody just walked over your grave. Now, I'm doing good. I'm excited. This is a movie that you and I both love. It made my top five Westerns. I know it made your honor. Um, and this is a movie, it's just really well done for the time it was released, everything. It was a star studded cast, too. So I'm excited to really sit down and discuss this movie from what we loved to what we didn't like, to talk about even some quotes or scenes or even possible trivia that we've noticed throughout the film's production. Um, but let's talk about this, Pat. What? How were you first introduced to Tombstone?
So when I was a kid, my dad liked Western movies. I guess more modern Western movies, and this was definitely one. Especially for me being born in the mid 90s. I mean, this came out a year before I was born, so it was very fresh when I watched it for the first time, which was probably like I would say 10 or so, but I don't know, it's a fun watch. It's violent, yes, but it's also like it's a perfect you can tell it's one of those movies that's filmed in the 90s, right? It has that 90s feel to it,
Mhm.
especially with the cast and everyone. But yeah, that's how I was pretty much introduced to it. I mean, what about you? Did you watch it at a younger age, or was it something that you watched a lot later on?
It was just within the last year I
Oh,
watched it for the very first time. I so like I told you, like when we talked about westerns, I grew up with the old western films. I grew up with High Noon. I grew up with 10 Star, How the West Was Won, all those types of movies. And so for me, I always saw it on when I was, when I got older. I know my mom always talked about how much she really loved the movie, but for some reason, I always tried to avoid it when I was because I didn't, you know me enough, Pat. I wasn't the biggest Kurt Russell fan,
yeah.
and I wasn't the biggest Val Kilmer fan. So when both of them are supposed to be the lead actors in this film, I'm going to turn away from it because if I see two actors I don't really care for their acting, why am I going to waste my time and watch it? But within the last year, I finally sat down and watched it, and by God, I kept on telling myself I was so stupid and waiting for it because I really
Why
enjoy.
didn't you watch it sooner, right?
Yeah, like I wish I would have done that. Like I feel like there's just so much to really love about this film. And to see how much you saw the love of Western films be brought to the 90s into a 90s movie,
Mhm.
it was just phenomenal. And Kurt Russell, this is by far my favorite role with him in it. Other than The Thing. And Val Kilmer, by God, this is my favorite role.
I think this is by far, I mean, it's got to be. I mean, I think to a lot of people, it is probably his best role.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I don't care for people who love Iceman from Top Gun. That doesn't even
Yeah,
match on the same.
Iceman, I would say maybe Heat, but I think his acting and just the way he delivers lines in this movie, I mean, this is what he'll be once. If yeah, if there's ever a time where Val Kilmer is no longer with us, this will be a movie that he will always be remembered for.
I think if anybody made a list regarding Val Kilmer's films, this is number one and number two. Like Doc Holliday for him is what set him. Like I'll be honest with him before we kind of go into what we're going to be talking about. Doc Holliday for me, after watching this film,
Mhm.
I went and watched Batman Forever. And now this sounds weird, but Val Kilmer is a star of both.
Yep.
When I watched that, I wished Val Kilmer brought that personality he had as Doc Holliday and brought it to play Bruce Wayne.
Like you wish his Bruce Wayne character had like a little bit more
More sass behind him.
as him. I was gonna say a little sass. I guess that's a perfect word for it.
Well, the sassiness, the cockiness of Doc Holliday. Because you got to remember when you look at somebody like Batman, right? Batman is Batman, but he's also Bruce Wayne.
Hmm.
And Bruce Wayne has to play that persona of rich millionaire playboy. And in reality, in that movie, he was so calm.
Hmm.
Like, I know I trash George Clooney, and I have no problem doing that.
Here we go.
But,
The judge
but,
take
but,
it.
but before he, I got a little bit of a compliment. He played not that bad of a Bruce. Played played a horrible Batman.
This is it the stiff neck? No, that's not the stiff neck
No,
Batman.
that's Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton stiff neck. Well,
No,
it's still no. It's
that was the bat nipples he had.
oh yeah, okay, yeah. That's right. And the bat butt. There was also bat butt too.
Bat
Yeah.
butt, yeah. But Val Kilmer to me, it was
Bat.
just like when I watched that and watched Tombstone, I was like, why couldn't you have brought that persona, not the southern twanging in his voice and all that, but having that cockiness as that Doc Holliday brought to Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
I was like, if you would have just did that, I think you would have made a perfect Bruce.
He's like, that is a peach of a hand there.
Poker's an honest trade.
Yeah.
Vigilantism is an honest trade. But let's go into Tombstone. Um, Friends, here's a little bit of trivia for you before we kind of go into what we like, dislike, and things that we actually found out not too long ago. The movie was released on Christmas Day in 1993. Cast,
Ho ho ho.
ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, you filthy outlaw. I'm just.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah. But the cast was star-studded. Let's just go over some of the big names in this film.
Oh yeah.
Kurt Russell's Wyatt Earp, Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday, Sam Elliott is Virgil Earp, Bill Paxton is Morgan Earp, Powers Booth is Curly, Bill, Brocius. Sorry if I pronounced that name wrong. I always have problems pronouncing his last name.
The
Michael
bro.
B. It's really weird how they pronounce it. But we always knew him as Curly Bill, or Michael Bean as Johnny Ringo. Stephen Lang is Ike Clayton or Clanton. Thomas Hayden Church is Billy Clanton.
Yeah.
Dana Delaney is Josephine Marcus. Love her. And I'll go into her here in a little bit because she voices a character that I really enjoy in the animated series of DC. Michael Rooker is Sherman McMasters, and there's so many more. This doesn't even do justice to everybody that's in this film.
Uh, did you say Billy Zane?
Billy Zane is in it. Billy Bob Thornton's in this
Oh,
film.
Billy Bob. The two Billies are in this.
Yeah, it's like the cast can just go on and on for how many actors are in this film. But here's the catch. I'm curious to see how much do you think the budget was for this film?
I didn't look anything up as far as that goes. I'm gonna go ahead and say under 20 million.
That's a little bit more. You're at 25.
Okay.
It's 25 mil, and it grossed doubled to 56.
Okay.
So
I mean, I think for this time too, like the cast was one of the few this was one of the few westerns to have a star-studded cast, especially looking in hindsight at the films that a lot of these actors did after this,
yeah,
right? I mean, now that we look at it, we're like, oh my God, like look at all the movies that Thomas Hayden Church has done. Look at all the movies that Billy Bob Thornton has done. I
Stephen
mean, look at the
Lang.
careers that they have had. You know,
Yeah,
Billy Zane did Titanic, what, 4 years after this movie came out.
yeah.
So it's insane to look at
Even
that.
Michael Rooker is a good one example
Oh,
too.
dude, I mean,
Michael
look at the
Rooker
career
played bit roles, including like Days of Thunder and stuff like that. But he
ball
never,
pass.
yeah, but he got more into movies probably within the early 2000s where he started really picking up his career.
Yeah.
Dude, he's in Guardians for crying out loud as John. You know, this guy does a lot of things, and Michael Rooker's always a great person to be around. Like even a great actor, he really brings a different type of energy to a movie. Um, but let's talk about this too, because the directors changed a couple times. Um, the original director of this film was supposed to be Kevin Jere, who actually kind of helped write the script and everything like that. It ended up going to a man by the name of George P. Cosmatos.
Yeah.
Now, the only movies I really could find that actually had like a status was Rambo First Blood Part 2,
Okay.
Cobra, Leviathan,
Okay.
but he was pretty much when I was reading the trivia behind it and stuff that was happening behind the scenes, Sylvester Stallone is the one that recommended him because, of course, he's worked with him on a couple Cobra and Rambo things like that. So he was recommended for the role or to take this up. But according to what I've heard from backstage too, the fact being that most people actually kind of thought Kurt Russell kind of was in that role as a director because he did help produce the film, to help do things like that, and people actually looked up to him like he wanted to build this
Well,
world.
you probably had a good sense of direction too, right? I mean, if you're playing in the lead role of this movie, you have a vision of how you see it. I mean, it makes sense too, right?
Right now, now I'm gonna play a game with Patty B.
Want to play a game.
Trying to play a game. Let's talk about the two main roles in this film. We've talked about enough about Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer, right? But there was two other actors that were up for their roles at one point. Let's start with Wyatt Earp. Who do you think was originally casted for the role? So I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
Kurt Russell actually was given the role or offered the role of Doc first.
Okay. That's, that's
And,
weird.
and I'll give you another hint. The actor they originally offered it to played Wyatt Earp in another movie.
Oh, Kevin Costner?
They did offer
No.
Kevin Costner. But because I think what I was reading to, or what I was reading about him, is that he felt like Wyatt Earp should be the main character, and he felt like it was more of an ensemble,
Yeah.
and
I
so
mean,
that's why he decided not to. He'd rather keep to his adaptation he did. Um, which I was like, okay, but I don't think he would have mixed well with most of that cast. Seeing most of the cast who it ended up being,
yeah.
um, but there was another actor that was supposed. He was like supposedly what I was reading. He was like begging for the role. He didn't get it, but Richard Gere was wanting to play Wyatt.
Richard Gere.
That was kind of the odd one to me because I was like, I just can't see you past rom coms and little bit roles. Now, like I said, originally Doc was offered to be or was offered to Kurt Russell, and Kurt Russell denied it, wanting to play Wyatt. But there was one more actor that was offered the position.
Mhm.
What actor do you think was offered to Doc or was offered Doc Holliday?
I want to say I don't know why. It's probably not even, Christian Slater seems like he could be a guy, but probably not. Or
I'll
John
give you a hint. I'll give
Cusack.
you a hint. Give you a hint. This actor is known as a villain in some pretty big banger um, Marvel movies.
That doesn't not Willem Dafoe. Yeah.
You just answered your question right there.
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe was originally
No way.
going to be Doc Holliday. The studio didn't want him because the movie that came out before that is, well, his last movie he did before then was The Last Temptation of Christ. And it was such a controversy when that movie came out
Got it.
that they did not want to have nothing to do with him in that role.
And then it was probably not far removed from that, right? Coming
Yeah, it
out.
was. I think it was like only a year or 2 years
Yeah.
after the
I
movie
mean
was
that
made.
that kind of makes sense.
But that's who originally they were wanting for that role was Willem Dafoe, which I don't know why. I kind of feel like he could do it, but I don't think he could do it better than Val Kilmer.
No, there's certain ways of delivering like dialogue, and I just don't.
Like I could have seen Dafoe play Curly,
Yes, I could
like
see that
Curly for
too.
the Powers Booth. I could have seen Dafoe play that charismatic
Plays Pearly Bill though, man. He kind
Powers
of,
Booth. Mm-hmm.
yeah, he's got kind of a sassy attitude to him as well. Well, bye.
Well, and then some other facts that we found out about this. Mickey Rourke actually turned down the role of Johnny Ringo.
Okay.
How do you feel about that? Like, could you have seen Rourke in that position?
You know what? I at the time, I guess, all right, for this time, I'm not too familiar or wasn't too familiar with Mickey Rourke's work
Mm-hmm.
around this time frame. I've become I've become more known to his later stuff, like post 2000s and whatnot. But I don't know. He also had a different look at the time, right? I mean, I know
Yeah,
he's gone through a lot of facial looks and just appearance wise and whatnot, but I don't know. I just
my
acting
blue.
wise, he seems. I've never been a Mickey Rourke guy, so I just don't think that he would fit in.
Like, I can never get past Mickey Rourke. I love The Wrestler. That's probably one of my favorite movies with him in it. But
Great,
but
great.
I can never get past Mickey Rourke in Iron Man 2. I want my bird. I want my bird.
You know what, dude? I think I'm not gonna lie. I actually like him in Iron Man 2.
I don't.
Dude, that weapon that he has is so badass.
Like
Let's be
Sam
honest.
Rockwell, and it's sad that they didn't do nothing with his character in that movie.
And Rockwell's great in that too. I forget about that.
Mhm. He played a minor role, and he could have been
That
so much.
ensemble between those two guys too, like they're
Mhm.
perfect together.
That's why I said it just didn't work, and it was just the writing, I think, more.
Speaking of that, I think Sam Rockwell might have been too young at this time, but
Yeah,
Sam Rockwell as like a I don't know, put Sam Rockwell like in like a Thomas Hayden Church's position in that one of those like little side roles or something like in this.
well, see, that's why I said like even I that's why I said like even Mickey Rourke I think would be great. Like I could have seen Mickey Rourke. You want me to tell you what position I would have put him in, but I don't know if I would have recast him. It's McMaster's, Mickey Rourke's role.
Yeah.
I could have seen Rick Rourke do that, but it's kind of a toss up. I Bean did such a great job with Ringo that I
Mhm.
just like that dude was such a big 90s actor, and then he's kind of fallen off within the last 10-15 years. That dude was in Terminator. That dude was in um he was in Tombstone. He was in The Rock. He was in a lot of big bangers during that time frame. And he's fallen off.
I forget that he was in the Terminator.
Yeah, he's Connor, or he's the one that he's the dad of John
Yeah,
Connor.
one where his son sends him back to bang his mom and conceive
Yeah,
her. Yeah, that movie. Yeah.
that movie. We're supposed to protect Sarah Connor, but hey,
Huh?
really to post a banger, you know?
Like, like, dude, could you imagine? Could you imagine like the pitch that he's got? He's like, all right, hey man, so this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna send you back about 40 years. You're gonna meet this girl named Sarah, really great girl, down to earth. She's my mom. Um, and what's gonna end up happening is you're gonna bang my mom and make me. I know it's really confusing for you to, it's a lot to process. We got robots and shit around us, but I think it is in your best interest to just keep a cool mind ahead, do what needs to be done, and we'll get through this.
We
So,
found the plot to Back to the Future. No, that's what I said. But going over a couple more items quick. Um, Jennifer Connelly actually auditioned for Josephine.
you know what? I like that. I
I
like that.
I do because I'm a big Jennifer Connelly fan. I have never watched any of her works and not thought, wow, she actually is a really good actress. And at two, this is during the Rocketeer time frame. This is, younger, prettier Jennifer Connelly that I think she could have pulled off. But I'm gonna say something. I love Josephine in this. Or I love Josephine. I love Dana Date or Delaney. I think she, mind you, I was introduced to Delaney
Hmm.
Superman the animated series. He
Okay.
was Lois.
Okay.
So you can see, like when I watch Josephine, I'm like, oh yeah, that's perfect because that's Lois Lane. Like that's carefree. I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm no damsel in distress kind of thing. And Delaney does it really good job with Josephine. I loved her whole role in the movie. Um, and then here's a fun fact. I'm curious if you knew. According to the director, Stephen Lang was drunk pretty much throughout the whole film.
Oh yeah, let's party.
Yeah. Oh, I could see it. I can see him doing
It
that.
was filmed in Arizona, or some of it was filmed in Arizona, and I
Yep.
think probably for the shots that they have, I'm assuming it started filming in early summer. Can you
Yep.
imagine being out in that heat and just being drunk all the time? I'd probably throw up. But stay hydrated.
But you want me to tell you something cool about this? And I saw this while we were when I was kind of going over everything. Sam Elliott, Stephen Lang, and I can't remember the other actor, but they were also in another big war movie during that year, Gettysburg.
Gettys, the Gettysburg.
Movie. Jeff Daniels, Martin Sheen. Huh?
That came out in 93
That came out
or
in 93.
oh wow. I thought that was like a early or a late 80s movie. I don't know
No,
why.
no.
I'm probably thinking of the Matthew Broderick one with
You gotta remember, Jeff Daniels is young in that film, and Jeff Daniels was a pretty young guy during Dumb and Dumber. You know,
but he did that Gettysburg before Dumb and Dumber, right?
yeah, it was 3 years before. But yeah, Stephen Lang was um the picket. Um, Sam Elliott is in the film as one of their scouts, one of the generals. The one that was scouting out. I can't remember for the life of me who the other actor was. There was another big name actor in it that was in all three, or there were all three in that movie too. But anyway, let's go over the things you loved. Let's go over that. What's some of the stuff you liked?
Other than like what we were talking about the cast, I think I do have to point out Doc Holliday or Val Kilmer's character. Um, from what I've heard in the past, as far as listening to other podcasts, there was one I listened to on Doc Holliday one time, and like the real Doc Holliday.
Mhm.
And they were also comparing it to the movie and how, there's actually a lot of accurate things that, Doc Holliday does in the movie that he did in real life. Like, for instance, the one where he gets in the iconic, basically the intro scene that you get with Doc Holliday,
Mhm.
where he gets in a scuffle with that guy at the bar,
Mhm.
and instead of shooting him, he ends up, he's like, I'll be friends with you, and he pushes his pistols away, but he gets up and then he stabs him, and apparently that actually really happened where he stabbed the guy, and so accurate to the point where they actually stabbed him on like the right side, like it
Mhm.
was supposed to happen. So just little stuff like that, I think, is kind of cool. Because especially a lot of movies nowadays, or just in general, that depict, historical, things or figures, it's never always accurate. It's just cool that, stuff like that is kind of thrown in movies. Um, I think his delivery and his undermining attitude towards people is just awesome. Like you said, sassy. Like,
It's very sassy, very charismatic. He cares about his friends, but if you do him like my favorite scene with him in that, you want me to tell you one of my favorite other than I'll be your Huckleberry or any moment with him and Ringo.
mhm.
Um, it one of my favorite moments is with Ringo when they're doing the gun flipping and
Oh, the tin cup. Yeah. Yeah.
makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Makes me laugh every time he comes on screen because he's drunk and the whole scene is just like, oh, it's just his facial expressions is what makes me laugh every time he comes on screen.
Well, I mean, like I'm in my prime. Yeah, you or the that intro scene where he's like, "Oh, that must be a peach of a hand."
That's why I said like he is just really well done in this whole or like when he shoots Ringo and Wyatt comes out on the scene and he's like,
Mhm.
oh, I might not have been as sick as I was playing, or
Yeah.
it's just those moments just make you just like you want me the most intense scene with him is when they're speaking Latin. So that whole scene when Ringo and him are talking smack to each other, it's like, ooh, okay. Now we're kind of seeing the different side of Doc. Like it's still cocky, but it's
Now
like
we're getting that psychological a little bit, it seems like, right?
exactly.
There.
Yeah.
I like the relationship between Wyatt and Doc. I think for it seems like both of them are just two completely different characters or just backgrounds. It seems like one resembles one, I don't know. Um,
One's
they
kind of like you could look at it this way. Like one is kind of like the one that's gonna follow the law but is trying to escape that past, right? While the
Yeah,
other one's like, hey, look, this is the justice out here. I've lived it, and but we're still friends because it's kind of like they're yin and yang a little bit. Like,
there you go. I think it's like opposites attract.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know, just throughout the movie, it's like they seem like two unlikely guys. It seems like in a perfect or in a movie, you could have them go against each other and it would completely make sense.
yeah.
But the fact that they're friends, I think, is pretty cool. And they're friends all the way up until, Doc Holliday passes away and whatnot. Um, one last thing that I really love about this movie is the dialogue, the realism in dialogue, the way they used words back then, or just certain words, and how they delivered them. Uh, I think because of that, that's what makes the film like a better. It depicts that time a little bit better, right? What they're trying to get, especially of what they're trying to, the story of what they're trying to tell and everything. I think the way they express themselves throughout the movie is it just makes it flow.
You know, going over the things like I said, I agree with you every word you said with Doc. Like Doc Holliday to me was the Val Kilmer was like the highlight to me in this. Every scene he came on, you were glued to that screen
Mhm.
with when he came on. Even Kurt Russell, you had your moments with him. Like when he was on screen, it was really good. Um, I enjoy the setting of it. Like I really enjoyed how they did everything, the setting of the town, everything. I thought that was really well done. Um, One of my favorite scenes is when he goes into the Oriental for the first time. He's like, "Oh, yep, here he goes. There's old Wyatt," and that's when we're introduced to Billy Bob Thornton's character. Um, which I want to bring this up too. This was a fun fact I found out, and I didn't see it the first time, but when I watched it again last night in preparation for this, I noticed it. When he says, "You back the queen again, you son of a bitch, I'll blow you up right up that wildcat's ass." Behind him was a stuffed mountain lion, and his butt pointed towards the players. Billy Bob Thornton is just, it was like him and Kurt Russell's scene was just really well done. One of my favorite things too.
The way he punked him.
And then Doc, that was also one of my other favorite one-liners from Doc. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot you were there. That's why I said it's really well done. The Val Kilmer, I feel like he is such a method actor too.
Yeah.
Because when you really think about it, that death scene with him, he was laying like on a block of ice.
Oh, for real? So he can keep cold?
Yeah, because it made him look like he had the chills, like he was going through everything. Like they were saying, like he was laying on something, like it was like a block of ice kind of thing, and it was supposed to make it look more realistic. Um, that's why I said him. I love Ringo. Ringo by far to me is like one of the most. I'll put it this way, and I know I don't say this very often, but I'm going to say it. When I think of villains in a western, especially the first one I go to is
Mhm.
Marvin and the man who shot Liberty Bands. That's one of the first things I go to for a villain. Ringo to me gave me that same persona that Lee Marvin did. When you really get that sense of what he is, it's like he's an educated man, but he's out for himself.
Mhm.
He's out for his wants. And that's what I said, like him and Kilmer, like I said, I can't even describe being in him so much. Like their chemistry was just really well done. Every scene they were in, you knew you were in for a great scene. Like um like I said, I've talked about Delaney. Delaney is amazing in this film. I love her as Josephine. I think it speaks volumes to her character and to who she is as a real person. It's sad we don't see tons with her anymore. Not as often, but she is such a great actress. She really is. Um, that's what I said. That I would say one of here are some of the moments I didn't like though. I did not like when the scene started with the marshals when they're like Wyatt and all them. Like, I love the train scene. I'll give props there. That train scene where they're setting up to they're going to shoot Virgil.
Oh, yeah.
That was amazing. Like you see Kurt Russell's in there, and then he just takes that like the little spike or the little spur on his shoe or his
Uh-huh.
boot, just cuts him. Oh man, that was amazing. Um, But that scene where they're all writing and it's like bam, bam, I was like, oh my gosh, here we go. Like I hate scenes like that. Like I hate seeing like I love when they're actually showing the violence, but when it's just like the like little like point of view, like you just see him just standing there shooting a gun, it's like, who are you shooting at? Like I want to know what you're shooting at. Don't
Yeah.
just point a gun at the screen and be like, bam. I can watch stuff like that all the time. I don't need to see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it seems pointless.
Yeah, it's like if you're gonna show me something, show me something. Um, I know this is gonna sound bad, but I'm gonna say it. Um, I love Sam Elliott in this film, but he was a little older for that role. Like he looked like he could be Kurt Russell's dad in that film. Like that, but again, I know that's nitpicky, and I love Sam Elliott. I don't want people to think I don't like Sam Elliott, but he was a little too old for that film. But the one person I probably hated the most was Bill Paxton. Could not stand his character at all. I felt like his character was kind of is the person or Morgan was just kind of useless in the film. Like I
Yeah,
know
there's one. Go ahead.
it just was one of those moments. I was like, yeah,
Yeah. There's no development there, right?
yeah,
I mean, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of development with this character. And it's like, and like you said, it's like, like, I
I,
think it's this too. I also think it's this. You're looking out from a big scope of things, right? And seeing what the cast is like and looking at everyone's in this movie. And it's like, oh, Bill Paxton. Who does he play again? Oh, okay.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
sad because Bill Paxton has a great filmography. It's just one of those actors that's like, yeah, he's there. Like it's not the best.
I just realized we got two guys from Titanic in this movie.
Billy Zane and Bill Paxton, right?
Yeah, the two Bills. We got
Yeah.
how many Bills do we have here? We got Billy Bob Thornton,
Billy Bob Thornton, Bill Paxton, yeah, Billy
Billy
Zane,
Zane.
um, and then Billy Dog. No, I'm just messing.
The real Bill Shady, please stand up.
um, I want to bring this up for conversation because this was a scene I absolutely could not stand in this film. Why was Virgil pissed with Wyatt after he got shot and pretty much was told he's going to lose mobility in his arm?
Why was he pissed at him?
Yeah, because you saw when he gets shot, right? The night that he gets shot, and then Morgan gets shot and killed.
Yes.
Okay, he's pissed with Wyatt. Why was he pissed at Wyatt? It's like I look at this scene in a way of like I look at it this way. It was Virgil's decision.
I know he's the one that wanted to engage.
Yeah, Wyatt didn't want to do anything with it. He wanted to stay away from it. Now he instigated things because but he refused to shoot a gun. He refused to do anything. He would whip him.
Hmm.
He'd sit there with the pistol whip and just sit there and knock him out. But it was like, okay, like you're the one that wanted to get back in law enforcement because you felt like town needed it. It
Hmm.
wasn't Wyatt's option. Wyatt was totally against it. And then he gets all pissed off. I don't want to talk. Yeah. It's like, and then his wife screaming at him. I was like, it's like,
What? Yeah. What? If I'm being honest too, I know we just talked about Bill Paxton's character not really having any substance or just being like, eh. I mean, I kind of feel the same way with Sam Elliott's character in some cases.
Sam Elliott's character still had like a meaning, but
Yeah,
that scene alone, I felt like I agree with you. That scene alone is what took that away from
yeah.
me. It's
But I
like,
also think like having two people with Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer, I think that's enough to like hold that four pack
yeah,
to the point of where the other two people don't really need to be. I don't know.
it
It
kind
just
of like the star studded of those two actors is what took away from them.
yeah, well, especially a character like Doc Holliday. I mean, he's not even the real main character, and he's probably the most iconic character of this movie.
Well, and that's why I said like the other scene I really did enjoy was the OK Corral scene.
Yeah.
The That was amazing. The way it was shot, the score behind that, it was just amazing.
Okay.
You know, um, I love how all of them are in suits, and then Val Kilmer after or her Doc Holliday sits there with a sweaty little shirt, and he sits there. He goes, "You're not supposed to be up," and he goes, "Oh hell, I am. I'm gonna go too. I'm in my prime." But but that scene alone, like even Stephen Lang and Thomas Hayden Church sold that scene.
Hmm.
Like it was just really well done. But again, another scene that it was outshined with Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer more than Sam Elliott and Bill Paxton.
Hmm.
And I swear, if I see that sheriff in town again,
Uh, Sheriff Behan.
yeah, I can't
Okay.
stand that mother truck.
Oh, okay. Well, that was gonna be one of my dislikes of this movie. I absolutely hate that guy.
I did not give a
He's
shit.
an absolute scumbag who is in it for his best interest. All right.
Yeah. Well, he
He's
was a character that's like, what was the what? Like, I'll be honest. I'm gonna just say it right now. I got so confused with his character because it's like, oh, well, you're supposed to be the law enforcement of the town, but how can you deputize pretty much all the people that you're trying to post to get out.
Yeah.
How can you deputize all the cowboys in town and you're going to try to go after pretty much marshals?
Hmm.
Yeah, I love that whole scene. It's like, oh, I can like Doc's like, I can kill and it's legal. It's like okay, like that's why I said it just.
He's the worst sheriff. But he's not, excuse me. He's not only the sheriff, he's like, I'm the head of the fire department and something else.
Yeah, it's like the overachiever in all the city's politics,
He
but
got
it
his hand,
doesn't do anything
got
with
his
it.
hands in too many bins.
Yeah,
Seems like just focus on one thing, bro.
yeah, just focus on the fire department. Yeah, we need
Yeah,
that. You know,
yeah, yeah. We need
where,
fires. But
yeah, where was that? Be the housing committee, okay?
yeah, yeah. Be a city organizer. All
Yeah,
right.
don't be
So
a city instigator, okay?
be part of our Parks and Rec department. All right. I don't want you. I don't want you around these streets. Guiding people the wrong ways and whatnot.
You want me to tell you the other person I didn't like in this film? The girl that was supposed to be Wyatt's like girlfriend or wife or
The one in the beginning, I that was another thing too. I had down. The story. Are you talking about the
girl that
relationship?
he gets off the train with. I can't
Him and Maddie's, right? I
yeah,
think it's
I
yeah.
think that's her name. I can't
Um, I think I don't know. I lose interest in it.
yeah.
Just compared to other scenes. Saying that they're necessarily bad because it is telling a story, but at the same time, it's just like I kind of gravitate away from it.
Well,
I
like
don't
when
know.
Delaney comes on the screen, she grips you. Like she makes you understand, like, oh, what's your ideal heaven? Room service. It's just those moments that just make you feel like it's just so well done by Delaney that she steals the show when it comes to all the women in the movie.
Well, I also think it's made from the get-go that she is going to be priority compared to this woman, right? I mean, that kind of goes to that's one of my favorite scenes in this movie is the play scene where we get introduced. Well, we are kind of introduced to her character and Billy Zane and everything, and they're all, you got Curly Bill and all of his posse's in there, and they're all shooting off guns during the show, and then Billy Zane's character comes out after the show, and they're all having a drink, and then that's when they all meet each other for the first time, and I think that's just an iconic scene altogether. But um, yeah, going back to what you were saying. Sorry. I
Yeah,
mean,
no, but like even her character with like the whole like kind of the alcohol kind of abuse that she had,
yes, yes.
they don't really lead anything into that. It's just from the beginning she's had issues, and it's
Yeah.
like okay, where are we
She's like,
going
oh,
with
I'm only gonna take this for headaches, and it's a whole bottle of
yeah,
whatever.
and
Yeah.
that's why I said like I could understand if she was taking that before Josephine came into the picture, like she was taking that like afterwards, but not before. That
Yeah.
made no sense to me whatsoever at that point. And it just it was just not a that character I didn't like. Um I'm gonna put it out there. I was not a big fan of Powers Booth in this film. Like I know that I'm gonna get heat for that for Curly Bill, but I could not get behind him. It just was a villain. I was like, I just don't see you in this role. But
What other stuff is he in?
Powers Booth,
Yeah.
let me take a look here. He's in movies, like he's pretty popular in movies. He's in Frailty. He's in Red Dawn, the original. He's a
Okay.
soldier that they find. He's in Sin City. Um,
I haven't seen Sin City in so long.
um, I thought he was the guy in Incredibles, but he's not. He's passed away. He passed away in 2017. Um, but he was like an Agent of Shield. He was in Sin City. He was in Nashville. Um, he was in the Avengers as one of the council members that's trying to bomb him or trying to. He was in 24. He's in a lot of stuff. Um,
24.
mhm. That's what I said. Like he's really good at the move. Oh, I forgot he's in Men of Honor. Well, Cuba Gooding Jr., Robert De Niro.
Okay.
He's one of the first captains that deal with Cuba Gooding Jr. or it's one of the first captains that we see on the ship.
Okay.
But yeah, he's in a lot of like he plays bit roles. Like he's never really been the star of the movie. But yeah, that's why I said like I don't know why. I just didn't like his character in it. Like I didn't like that's not the persona I see him as. Like I
Mm-mm.
don't see him that like that's where I said I think somebody like Defoe would have been perfect for that because he's that lunatic that you don't know what he's really up to. Him and Ringo, I think, would have been great. Being in Defoe would have been amazing for that role.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, like so. Let's talk about this. Okay, so let's go to our next thing. We're going to talk about our favorite quote of the movie. Now, mind you, I have a feeling both of us are going to have Doc Holliday on our radar. Um, Mine was the one that he states in the beginning of the movie, um, or not in the beginning of the movie. The first scene with not the first scene either. Gosh darn it, I'm going to get it out one way or another. Um, when he has the duel with Ringo at the end of the movie.
Yes.
Um, that right there, the whole why Johnny Ringo, you look like somebody just walked over your
Walked over your grave. Yeah.
love that scene. Like him, I'll be your Huckleberry. And like his whole it's like, oh, I wasn't asking for you. And he goes, well, you got me. You
Yeah.
never served my duel when I asked for, you
Or
know,
say when.
well, you see, yeah, just that whole like even his close up to his mouth. Say when, it's just that whole. It's just that's why I said him and I can't describe it enough. Him and Bean's characters just hit their personas, everything just worked so well for this film. Like I told you, I was more attracted when Ringo came on and when Holiday came on. What would you say is your favorite quote, Pat?
Man, there's one I couldn't I don't know why I couldn't find it. I guess I could probably find it if I looked up the script. But it's right at the beginning of it's like in one of the first scenes in the train station when they're getting into town and Wyatt Earp the guy's trying to get him back to law enforcement. And he's like, I figured I'd find my fortune and whatnot. And he's like, man, I just wish I knew the line to it. That's terrible for what we're trying to explain here.
I know which one you're talking about. I believe it's like
Like a good
I already have like a guilty conscience kind of.
yes.
I can't remember the. Hold on, let me try to find that quote here, and I can.
I already have a guilty conscience. Yeah.
I already have a guilty conscience. Might as well have the money too.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was going to be my other quote I put up there for Wyatt.
Smooth. It's a really smooth one, man.
or
Just the way he
or
delivers
like the whole
it.
thing too, or the whole are you going to do something like that? Just there are just one banger liners in this.
It's funny because when I watched it too, the way he delivered that line, that line, uh, kind of had a resemblance of how his character is in Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
Like the way he like just has like a metaphor for something to say. Like in Hateful Eight, he's like, you don't need to hang mean bastards, but mean bastards you need to hang.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know, just shit like that is he the way he delivers it, it fits perfectly.
Well, that's why I said just that's why I said they were just there was just some really good lines. That was another great line of his, and I agree with you there. So let's rank this, and then we're gonna go into a little game, something that we used to do a lot just as a separate podcast. But we're gonna start putting them into our normal podcast. Um, Pat, where would you rank this on a scale of 1 to 10?
So I gotta keep my 1 to 10 scale kind of high, and I'm gonna try to stick to that. Uh, I think this movie's solid. It's iconic. I think this is one of the best westerns of all time. I think a lot of people would say that. It's definitely up there. Um, I'm gonna go ahead with a solid 8.8.
Okay. I would say I agree with you. Like I feel like it's one of the best modern Western movies they've done.
Yes.
Absolutely. I think it's one of the movies there was so many kind of dud Western films for a while. Um, and then they finally came back with this one and it kind of uplifted it and then it kind of just went down again. Uh,
Yeah. But this was on a peak. This is where it kind of changed going upwards. So
you would okay, so I'm curious. Would you say that or would you put Lonesome Dove kind of like the one that increased the peak?
I think Lonesome Dove planted the seeds.
And Tombstone's one that took it up.
Tombstone was the farmer.
Like I agree with you there because I feel like I we've talked about it. I just feel like there was just kind of somewhat lack of action where I felt like this was just full on action. Like
Yeah, it was.
yeah, like you didn't miss a beat with the violence.
Mm-mm.
I get this, and I'm again, this is coming from a guy who loves this film. It was in his top five, but I'm not a big guy with westerns, so I probably put it like an 8.3, 8.4, kind of
Yeah.
like it's a great
I,
film.
I can't go over a 9 with it. I went at the high eights only because too of just how it still holds up watching it
Yeah.
today. For it being a 30 almost a 32-year-old movie,
Well, see,
it's still a good Western to watch. Like anyone could watch that just because of, it being more modern and the star-studded cast that's in it. I mean, a lot of people that are in that movie are still with us today and still doing movies today. And
and and you brought up a good point too. For most of this, they were actually pretty historically accurate. There
uh
was a couple scenes, and that's kind of what took it down for me because one of the biggest ones, we know why they did it for the movie because it was Ringo's death.
hmm
Doc is not the one that kills Ringo.
yeah, I figured that too.
The murder is still considered a mystery. We don't know who killed Ringo. It wasn't Holiday, though, and they've confirmed that part. But he was found, I believe it was some type of canyon. I can't remember the exact name of it, but they found him and he was just dead. We don't know what happened.
Oh wow.
So that's why I said we know why they did it for the film because it was supposed to bring in drama, it's supposed to bring in that,
Yeah,
bring in the,
it kind
the
of probably brings the story full circle, right?
yeah, because it's them going after the Cowboys, it's going
Yep.
after Ringo's and Curly's gang, all that. But yeah, that's why I said I give it an 8.4. Now, a new segment on the podcast. Well, it's technically a new segment on a normal podcast, but we used to do it a lot last year when we sat down and competed to see how much we knew a certain genre of films. But what we decided to do now is we're going to take at least 3 to 5 questions from the movie that we've watched and see how much Patrick remembers of the film.
Here we
Okay.
go.
Okay. Here's your first question. Ready?
To embarrass
This is
myself.
this is your only multiple choice you got on this. Okay.
Okay.
What was the main resource being mined in Tombstone? Was it silver,
God.
coal, gold, or iron?
I want to say silver.
It is silver.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
It is silver. All right. Here's your next question. What is Doc considered to be an honest trade?
Gambler.
Be a little bit more specific. Certain game.
Poker player.
Poker. Yep, poker.
All right. Yeah,
Yeah, you're
yeah,
good. It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
be a little bit more specific. Like that's what I thought too, but it is actually like he says a certain game.
He does. He
Um,
does.
Greek Johnson's or Greek Johnson and Texas Vermillion both had the same first name. What was it?
Who are their characters again?
That was the two the two other gentlemen that go out with Wyatt as their marshals. It wasn't Val or it wasn't Doc and Wyatt. It was the other two that were with them. Not
Is it Fred?
no,
Dang,
it is Jack.
Jack. I don't know why I thought it was Fred.
Fred. All
Who,
right,
who Wait, who's the old guy that gets shot by Curly Bill in the middle of the street?
that's the original sheriff. That was like that's the one that Virgil took over.
Oh, okay, that's the one I got. Never mind. I got that one confused.
No, that was the one. Remember when the Curly's gang goes after the woman, and then they have the three guys that come up to him,
Hmm.
which kind of leads to our next question. What is the name of the cowboy that threw down his sash and joined Wyatt after cowboys attacked the woman? I need the name, not the actor.
Oh, dude, you're gonna kill me, man. I don't know the name. I know the actor.
Who's the actor?
It is Michael Rooker's character.
Yeah.
And you
It,
can kind of get a sense from the beginning of the movie, right? When Curly Bill's posse takes over that wedding, right? And you can kind of see the camera pans to his character and you can tell like he's like not it's not sitting right with them what they're doing.
well, in reality, you know what he was in history?
What's that?
He was actually a Texas Ranger.
Okay.
So
Like a
he was a
like a beta thing?
law abiding person.
Oh. Oh, that kind of Texas
Yeah.
Ranger.
So let's talk about this. This is your last question. You got 3 out of 4 so far, so you're not doing terrible.
Yeah, we're doing all right. Let's
Actually, you
see.
got 2 out of 4. My bad.
Well, give me three. That's fine. You're good.
I'll give you 2.5. Okay, you got the actor right, but the name of the man was McMasters.
McMasters.
All right, here's your last one. If you don't get this, I'll be shocked.
Here we go. No pressure.
Finish this quote. Are you going to do something or just stand there and blink? You don't get this. This is like I talked about the scene. This is one of my favorite scenes in the
Go to
whole.
Doc Holliday.
No, it's not Doc Holliday.
It's not Doc Holliday.
It is Wyatt.
Oh, hold on, hold on, hold on. Say it one more time.
Are you going to do something or just stand there and blink? We talked about this because this is a scene that you like too.
With Billy Bob Thornton's character.
Mm-hmm.
God, I know what it is. I'm gonna feel so dumb when you say it too. I don't know.
Going to do
It
something or you just are you going to do something or you just stand there and bleed?
bleed. Yeah, that's right.
And
After
he hit him a couple times when he said
yeah. Yep.
that's
That's
one
what
of my favorite scenes. Like, will you shut up? It's funny all the time. But you got 2 out of 5.
I got 2 out of 5. See, I always fail when it comes to tests or anything. I always think it's a test coming, and that's never good for me. But that wasn't bad. Sorry, folks. Didn't mean to embarrass myself there.
Maybe Pat do the next set of questions and we'll
I
see.
will do the next. Yeah, you just you wait.
Oh, I'll get you. I bet you more. I bet you money I can guess more than you. In those, I've shown you in Disney. I'm the one that comes up with most of the trivia questions. I know I can do it. Prove
We
it.
shall see, my friend. We shall see.
Do it. Do it. Um. Anyway, but thank you, fans, for listening to the Tombstone discussion. Let us know in the comments what you guys think about Tombstone. Where you rank it? Who's your favorite actor? What's your favorite scene? What are things that you would change? And also let us know the score of your trivia. Did you get all 5 of them right? Did you
Yeah.
get 4 of them right? Did you
Did
get
you
1
do
of them right?
that as
Or did you get 6 out of 5 right just to prove it to Pat that you guys know? No, I'm just messing. Um,
you get more answers than questions?
yeah. um, but yeah, fans, let us know in the comments. Check us out, J4F Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and what was it? And YouTube. We have our YouTube community up. We're going to be posting more out there, more shorts. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel and also check us out on Spotify. Without further ado, I'm turning it over to Pat to take us out.
Yeah, thank you guys for everything. This is a fun little topic to discuss. A very good favorite Western movie of mine. You guys, thank you again. And I yeah, always remember we do it just for flicks. Well, bye.